What's up, my Central Unit? It's the Central Man here. So this is my revisited review of WWF Survivor Series 2000. 4 years ago, I reviewed this show on, I think it was November of 2021. And the reason why I'm going back of rewatching and revisited this review of Survivor Series because this month marks the 25th anniversary of the Survivor Series. I think it was memorable for the main event between Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H. I'll get to more of that later on. You got Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker. But anyway, how we get there. So let's travel back 1 year prior to Survivor Series of 1999. So the main event of that show, actually the original main event of that show, Survivor Series 99, is a triple threat match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Triple H taking on The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. You had Triple H, I think he kind of slapped Austin, and Austin chased Triple H into the car park, or the Americans call it parking lot. So someone drive a car and run down the Texas rattlesnake. You know, it's a way to ring off Austin because he was wrestling hurt, you know, to get neck surgery because he had that neck injury in 1997 in that match against Owen Hart. So the Big Show was filling in for Austin. So that was in 1999. So fast forward 1 year later, you know, Austin came back. You know, he came back in the spring, helped The Rock beat Triple H for the WWF Championship at Backlash, but he came back in the autumn to find out who is the culprit, who is the mastermind who trying to run down the Texas rattlesnake. So they kind of like muddle up this storyline. You know, first off, it was Rikishi revealed to be the one who trying to end Austin's life, and then the build up to this, and then nope, it's not just him, it's Triple H is the true mastermind. Yeah, I'll get more in depth about this storyline when I'm reviewing Rikishi versus Rock on the show, and also the main event between Austin versus Triple H. So let's travel back to the year 2000. Yeah, this show was on the 19th of November in the year 2000. This show was at the Ice Palace. Right now it's called the Benchmark International Arena in Tampa, Florida. The attendance of the show was 18,602. Survivor Series 2000 drew about 400,000 pay-per-view buys. It was the most bought pay-per-view of the year for the Federation. You know, right now it's WWE. If you're not in our current timeline, if you're not living under a rock, yeah, 400,000 buys. The year 2000 was the company's successful year. It's a bit off than the previous year Survivor Series. That show drew about 406,000 pay-per-view buys. And then the following year's one in 2001, that was to wrap up the Evasion storyline, drew about 450,000 pay-per-view buys. And let's do another comparison. This time in the same year, I'm talking about the year 2000, WCW did their Mayhem pay-per-view, and that show drew about 55,000 pay-per-view buys. That was known for Scott Steiner winning his first and only world championship in his career. Anyway, so the commentators for Survivor Series of the year 2000, we got JR and The King. So let's talk about the first match to kick off the show. And the first match to kick off Survivor Series 2000, we got Test and Albert, or better known as TNA, with Trish Stratus in that corner. This is a 6-person intergender tag team match taking on Steve Blackman, Crash Holly, and Molly Holly. So this is Molly Holly's first pay-per-view match in the company, debut weeks prior. TNA was dressing up, I think they were wearing like the APA's t-shirt. So in storyline they beat down, you know, the acolytes, the APA. I think it's called TNAPA. It's a shame they're weird. They're not like having the APA versus Tess and Albert. It makes more of this makes more sense. But I feel they like. It's a shame. It's really a shame. I don't think they really have a match on pay-per-view. It's a goddamn shame. I feel that it was a squandering missed opportunity in a storyline purpose to do this. But anyway, so yeah. Steve motherfucking Blackman, Crash Holly, and Molly Holly. So, by the way, Molly Holly was previously in WCW as Miss Madness. She was hanging around with the Macho Man Randy Savage. I think I bring it up in my review of Slamboree 99. Go and check it out on the WCW pay-per-view playlist. She became Mona, and now she's Molly Holly. The kayfabe, kayfabe cousin of Crash and Hardcore Holly. It also was weird why they never done the Hollys versus TNA. Makes more sense because Crash Holly's in a match. We'll get to that later on. So the match was the match was okay. It wasn't anything special. It was 5 minutes. They made it most for what it is. Trish, she's like. You can tell, like, in the year 2000, it's funny, like, because it's funny, like, this year I did a revisited review of WrestleMania 16 and SummerSlam 2000. In that Survivors, because in that SummerSlam match, she fought in that mixed tag team match, it's her and Val Venus taking on Eddie Guerrero and Chyna. You can tell, like, in that year, she, because Trish debuted early in the year as a valet with managing Tess and Albert, and then all of a sudden, I think she was feuding with Lita, and the Hardys. She kind of like transmit into the ring. She was not quite there. Not in that in-ring career she's going to have going into the Ruthless Aggression era later on in the decade, but you can tell they kind of protect Trish, Molly. I think Molly Holly was more of more experience in the ring than Trish, Nothing much to hit home about this match. It was short and simple. In the end, I felt like one moment in the match, Trish was going to hit, I think it was Steve Blackman or Crash Holly in the balls, but instead accidentally kicked, I think he kicked Albert in the balls, or maybe Test in the balls. Anyway, Crash hit you could tell like Blackman and Crash Holly, they're basically more agility, focus on the agility side, and Tess and Albert are just basically just big muscle powerhouses. I think Crash hit is that a Hurricane? I think he did like a Hurricane off the top rope or some kind of DDT onto, I think it was on Tess or Albert, something like that. So in the end, Molly Holly hit the I think it was a Sums flip roll up off the top rope onto Trish for the win. So yeah, it's Molly Holly's first pay-per-view match in the company, and it's funny that both her and Trish went on to have good careers in the company. So yeah, it was short and simple. So I don't think there's any build to this. So anyway, moving on to the first of two Survivor Series matches of the night. We got the Radicals, all four members of the Radicals. We got Eddie Guerrero, who's at the time the Intercontinental Champion, Chris Benoit, at the time the Light Heavyweight Champion Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn with Terry, that's Terry Reynolds, by the way, in the corner of the Radicals, taking on, you could say, kind of DX. You got the Road Dogg, Jesse James, The One, Billy Gunn, Chyna, and K Quick. If you don't know who K Quick is, that is Ron the Truth Killing. So I think this is more of the continuation of the rivalry between Chyna and Eddie Guerrero. They were like this on-screen couple, doing the Mama Sita storyline, and then all of a sudden they broke up, this relationship because Eddie was having an affair with the Godfather's hose. That is Victoria, by the way. That was, I think that like Chyna, Joni Lauer, kind of like brought, Lisa Marie Ferran to wrestling, not just the company, but in wrestling. You know, go listen to her interviews. You know, I don't want to get into this video, but anyway, so DX, they kind of briefly reunited with DX. All 4 members, you know, Radicals kind of reunited because I think other members kind of like doing their own thing. Like Benoit was kind of in this, briefly in the WWF title picture with The Rock, and then in this rivalry with Chris Jericho. Eddie was doing this storyline with China. Don't know what Dean and Perry was doing. So they kind of reunited. So anyway, Billy Gunn. You know, they had you know, I feel like Billy Gunn lost the match. I checked it on the Wikipedia page. You're not gonna find some Raws and SmackDowns on Netflix. It's just what it is, man. You got to find it on YouTube or Dailymotion, something like that. So anyway, yeah, you know. At No Mercy, Eddie cost China and Mr. Ass the tag team match against Right to Censor. That's Stevie Richards and Val Venus. And then on the 23rd of October's episode of Raw, Billy Gunn defeats Val Venus in a standard wrestling match, despite interference by Right to Censor. So basically, like, they kind of like not feuding with China's not feuding with Eddie Guerrero. It's just also feuding with the members of Right to Censor. So and then on the 26th of October's episode of SmackDown, Benoit and Malenko defeat Triple H and Road Dogg, you know, in a tag team match by the help by Perry Saturn. Later that night, The Rock, China, and Billy Gunn defeat Right to Censor in a 6-person tag team match. Then on the 30th of October of Raw, you know, once Eddie, you know, defeat China to retain the Intercontinental Championship and attacked her, and then, you know, and then Billy Gunn, or Mr. Ass, you know, came to the rescue. And then later that night, Billy Gunn lost a match against Stevie Richards. That means he cannot use the name Mr. Ass, and he became the one Billy Gunn. That's for the best, man. That's fucking stupid. Mr. Ass. You know, we came up with the B music on the ass, man. Anyway, so on the 2nd of November episode of SmackDown, the Radicals reunited when Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn helped Chris Benoit in defeating Triple H. Yeah, helped Chris Benoit in defeating Triple H. Then on the 6th of November's episode of Raw, they DX reunited. Triple H, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn and China defeat the Radicals. Later that night, yeah, Triple H, you know, left the group, turned heel because he was the mastermind behind who attacked Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then on the 16th of November episode of SmackDown, Road Dogg introduced his new partner, K-Quick, but aka R-Truth, defeating Malenko and Saturn in a tag team match. After this match, Commissioner Mick Foley announced K-Quick would be competing against the Radicals in the Survivor Series match. So yeah, it's on Wikipedia. You're not going to find this on Netflix. You know, it's fucking stupid why you don't get the old Raw and SmackDown shows from that time period. It's just what it is, man. So anyway, the match itself was just meh. Wasn't say a bad match. It was just kind of meh. It was by the numbers, you know. The booking was a bit odd. I thought this is going to lead up to... People want to see a blow-off of the rivalry between China and Eddie Guerrero. Unfortunately, that's not the case on this show, so... Let's get down to the eliminations, you know. You had China has a moment in this match, you know. I think she was going to powerbomb Perry Saturn, but Eddie hit Dex China with the IC title belt, and then Saturn eliminated her, and then I think, and I'll check it right now. Anyway, and then Billy Gunn eliminated Eddie Guerrero with the Sleeper Slam. Weird booking, and I think it really killed this off. I'm not saying on paper thought this would be a good match. All four competitors are good workers, but unfortunately this booking was a bit off. Seeing both China and Eddie got eliminated, the first two competitors in this Survivor Series match. So anyway, so Benoit eliminated K-Quick. Like I said, this is K-Quick, Ron the Truth Killing's first pay-per-view match in the company. Is his brief first run in the company, knowing that he's in the company to this day. Anyway, Benoit eliminated K-Quick with the I think it was a German suplex. Then Road Dogg got eliminated by Perry Saturn. I think it was. What did Perry Saturn eliminate? I think it was a suplex. Yeah, it was Road Dogg. I think it was a suplex. I think it was a fisherman suplex. Anyway, yeah, it was a fisherman suplex. Road Dogg. No, eliminate. So yeah, Saturn eliminate Road Dogg with the Northern Light suplex. Yeah, it's coming back to me, man. So anyway, Saturn eliminate Road Dogg with the Northern Light suplex, and then Malenko performed the Leapdog Bulldog, which it's called. Billy Gunn, hit the famous onto Dean Malenko for that elimination, and then I think Benoit eliminated K-Quick. I think it was K-Quick. No, is it K-Quick? Yeah, K-Quick with the vertical suplex. Oh, no, not vertical suplex. Who eliminated R-Truth? Yeah, he's eliminated. Yeah, R-Truth got eliminated by he got eliminated. Check it. I'll check on Wikipedia. Yeah, he got eliminated by Benoit. I think it was the vertical suplex. This is very very confusing, man. But anyway, Gunn eliminate eliminate Malenko with the famous. I'm guessing one hit the. I think it was vertical suplex. Northern Light suplex. One of them. I can't remember. It's been 2 days since 2 or 3 days since I watched the show. My memory's a bit, and also I got learning. In previous videos I say I got learning difficulties. I just kind of sometimes forget. Anyway, so the final 3 matches on the final 3 competitors in this match. You got Billy Gunn. The one Billy Gunn, no longer Mr. Raz, is the last person member of the. You could say on the Babyface Survivor Series team, and then you got the 2 other members of the Radicals left, that is Benoit and Perry Saturn. In the end, I think Saturn tripped over Billy Gunn. They're trying to recreate the spot from WrestleMania 5. It was between the Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude, with Heenan holding on the Warrior's foot. They did the same thing on this match, with I think it was Saturn tripped up Billy Gunn. It just looks like Benoit trying to counter the suplex attempt, and he holds Billy Gunn's foot for the win. So eliminate Billy Gunn. Radicals won this match, and besides that, I'm not saying it was a bad match. It was just basically just like very odd. It's very odd booking. I thought this is leading up to, China and Eddie start this match off and ends with Eddie and China. So I think they had the match. Yeah, they had the match. I think they had some kind of blow off, and that was the end of their rivalry. And then China went on to feud with Right to Censor. Because I reviewed Armageddon 2000. So yeah, they kind of feud China kind of feud with the Right to Censor group. Going into the late 2000 and the early parts of 2001. So yeah, besides that, it was okay. It's fun to see the Radicals getting the victory. It's a shock win for them. So anyway, they have this backstage segment, with all 4 guys chilling out, and Terry, informing the members of the Radicals that Triple H has arrived, and this is leading up to the main event. I'll get to that later on. So moving on to the next match. So the next match we've got Chris Jericho versus Kane. Yep, and this is revolved around coffee. So Jericho accidentally spilling a cup of coffee onto Kane's chest, and then all of a sudden Kane snaps. He costs Jericho a match against Kurt Angle for the WWF Championship. Jericho cost Kane a shot at the hardcore title against Steve Blackman, and then Kane attacked Jericho, throw Jericho through a window, choke slamming onto the announce desk. This was on a SmackDown. So the match itself was fine. It was like Jericho foot is more the agility side, Kane with the strength. Jericho botched in this match. He's going for the springboard plancha. he completely slipped and he almost landed on his head. That was just like, oh my god. He did recover, he did recover, but in this match, he kind of did a drop kick onto Kane's face. He kind of placed the steel steps on Kane's face, did the drop kick, and before that he did like his traditional springboard drop kick. Kane did like a hangman spot onto Jericho, holding him. He kind of carried him like he's wearing a backpack on his back. That was kind of a cool spot. It's kind of like a hangman spot. It's just basically working on the neck area of Jericho. He's like holding it. He's like grabbing in Jericho's arms and legs. Like wearing like a backpack. That was kind of like a cool spot. Kane trying to expose the turnbuckle. Jericho did I remember Jericho did the Bret Hart Sturman spot in the corner in this match. Anyway, so Jericho locking the walls of Jericho onto Kane. Kane reached the ropes. I think he kind of Jericho throw Kane into the exposed turnbuckle post. I think he hit the bulldog. He was going for the Lion Moonsault, but Kane countered it into the choke slam for the win. And then later on in the show, Jericho attacked Kane to get some heat, get his heat back, and then this is leading up to it set up the rematch at Armageddon in the Last Man Standing match. So I'm not saying this was a bad match. It was just fine, okay. I wish they had to do more physical. I wish Jericho be more physical, but but it's just setting up the Last Man Standing match at Armageddon. So, but besides that, I think if Jericho did not botch, would it be a bad match? Don't know. I'm not saying it was a bad match. It's not really Jericho's best or Kane's best. It's really sad for Kane, because going back to my Revisited review of SummerSlam, he's feuding with the Undertaker, saying I am a monster. That was in August, in the summertime. Fast forward in the autumn of that year, feuding over Jericho because he spilled a cup of coffee. Wow, Kane's heel run in the year 2000 was fucking Kane's heel turns over the years. They end up being fucking weird. It's so weird. I don't want to get any more in details of it. So, some heel turns are kind of good, and Kane sometimes had some bad heel runs. I'm gonna leave it for that. So moving on to the next match. So the next match, this is first of 3 championship matches on this show, and this one is for the European Championship. William Regal defending the belt against Hardcore Holly, aka Bob Holly. This is no build to this. This is announced on Heat before the show. Jericho. Regal basically grabbed the mic and kind of bashed the American people because you can't do one thing better is elect a president, and he kind of bashed the people for not, don't know how to burp, and mind their manners. I'm guessing this is before. I don't know. Is it? I think this show's before or after Thanksgiving, so it's basically bashing Americans about their table manners, something like that, And then Bob Holly appeared, and then the match begins. I thought this is not a good match on the show. You had Regal working on the arm of Bob Holly. I think he locked him with the the cross arm breaker. Anyways, it got some technical wrestling, but instead it was just very dull and filler. In the end, Bob Holly, Hardcore Holly, whatever you call him, got himself disqualified. He hit Regal with the European Championship belt, and he beat him up, and that was it. And by the way, this is setting up the next month's match at Armageddon, and Regal won, and that was not a good match. Wow, they just made. I don't mind if it was Regal doing this, hitting Hardcore Holly with the bell and beat him up in the process to get the heat. That'll be a bit better. But see a babyface doing it, it's just making him look stupid. So yeah. Yeah, I get Regal. I like Regal's. I think here he's just like re-debut in the company. You know, he was in the company before in 1998. He got fired. He came back as this like the character this like posh Englishman. I got you better. Because the reason why I'm going back to this, America can't do one thing right is elect a president, because at the time I think it was George Bush, Jr., George W. Bush. Yeah, George W. Bush. That was George Bush. Yeah, Jr. became the United States president at that time. He was competing with Al Gore. I think it was a recount, and Bush beat Gore to become president of the United States of America that time. So yeah, it's just what it is. That's a good reference to it. To the modern times. In the real life outside of wrestling. So yeah, Regal won the belt. Yeah, Regal won it in October. So yeah, I feel like it'd be more better have Regal beat Hoggle Holly, blooding him up, and then you could probably set up the next, the rematch down the road. But it's just what it is. Or I'd rather just leave it, put it on heat, but not on a. Don't put it on. I think it's just a no build to this. It's just I feel like a match on heat. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, we got The Rock taking on Rikishi, the battle of not brothers, but kind of like cousins. They're both related. So like at the start of this video, Rikishi is the one who run down Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he did it for The Rock, and also trying to frame The Rock, he said about the truck that run over Stone Cold Steve Austin. So at No Mercy, Rikishi interfered and accidentally cost The Rock the championship against Kurt Angle. And then the next night on Raw, Rikishi apologized to The Rock for costing him the title and told him it was just an accidental, but Rock did not forgive him. Then on the 30th of October's edition of Raw, The Rock, Rikishi attacked The Rock, and after I think in that video package, The Rock, hit Rikishi with the Rock bottom, So anyway, Rikishi attacked The Rock after The Rock won the number one contenders match against Chris Jericho. Following the assault, Rikishi revealed that The Rock knew about the attack. He had given Rikishi the keys to the truck and run down Stone Cold Steve Austin at the previous year's Survivor Series. On the 2nd of November's episode of SmackDown, Rikishi cost Rock the title shot for the WWF Championship against Kurt Angle, and then on the 9th of November's episode of SmackDown. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot. Also in this video package, you had the Rikishi, assaulted The Rock with the sledgehammer, kind of like jousting with the sledgehammer. This was after Triple H revealed to be the true mastermind of running down Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, and I think he hit The Rock with the bonsai drop, and The Rock was covering up blood, to selling the effects of when Rikishi just attacked him with the hit The Rock in the chest with the sledgehammer. So anyway, this storyline, I think they had 1 year to do this, and I think they kind of messed it up, to be honest. Rikishi. Let's talk about Rikishi. The Rikishi character, Sullivan Fatu, even though that Sullivan Fatu, I'm referring to Rikishi's real name, he's been in the company for years now. Was it since 1992? He's part of one half of the Wild Samoans. He's been in the company for years now. As one half of the Head Shrinkers, and then he was just Fatu, and then he was the Sultan. But he can't, this is the character he'll be known for as Rikishi. He debuted late '99 as Rikishi Fatu, but Survivor Series was in November. I think it was I'm guessing there was a week after Survivor Series. I think it was weeks after Survivor Series. I feel like there's a problem with Rikishi, as a heel, because I think Rikishi debuted after Survivor Series. He can't be the culprit, I think it's the way. I think I said it in my original review of Survivor Series. I think it's just basically too predictable. I'll get to why I want to get to the main event, but I think it was just basically just like it didn't really pan out. He had a match against Austin at No Mercy that led to a non-contest. It led to nothing. I feel like if Rikishi was winning matches, or maybe if I don't know. I think it's trying to it's very. I think it's just like it's just the payoff is not work. I don't think it worked. So I don't want to get into that. So anyway, the match between The Rock and Rikishi. By the way, The Rock, even though the show's in Tampa, this is in Tampa. You can tell that the fans really are trying to get behind The Rock. I'm guessing The Rock is from Florida, even though he's from Miami. You can tell he's got that pop. Even though I don't think they did a pay-per-view in Miami in the peak of The Rock's popularity, so it's just a mistaken opportunity. But besides that, the match was really good. I think the match was really good. It was a bit slow in my opinion. It was a bit boring. You had The Rock hitting big power moves. He hit I think he hit the spine buster. He hit Rikishi with a sick clothesline. I'll get to more of that shortly. So yeah, he had Rikishi working on the injured chest of The Rock. I think Rock trying to hit Rikishi with the chair. I think who's the referee? Is it I think it was Tim White, the referee. He kind of snatch the chair off the Rock's hands, and then Rikishi super kick him into the chest. Working on the chest, I think he hit him with the ass drop. Then he then he's trying to hit The Rock with the sledgehammer, but I think The Rock, he snatched it off, and instead of hitting Rikishi with the sledgehammer, he just hit Rikishi with the rock bottom for the near fall. Yeah, he was selling his chest. This was after Rikishi attacked the referee Tim White outside. Every time The Rock thing's going for the momentum, Rikishi cut him off. Working on the chest. So anyway, so in the end, before that, the Rikishi stink-faced The Rock. He stink-faced The Rock, even though he did it as a babyface. Now he did it as a heel. He kind of hit The Rock with the stink face. Wow, I don't know The Rock really. I don't know The Rock kind of agree with this spot. Rikishi did on the most over guy in wrestling with the stink face. And then afterwards, Rock, hit him with a really sick. It was a sick clothesline. It really turned Rikishi inside out. I think he hit him with I think it was did he hit the spine buster? I think he hit the suit. I think he hit a spine. Yeah, him with a spine buster. Then in the end, The Rock hit the people's elbow for the win. I think it was a foregone conclusion that The Rock is winning this match. So The Rock won this match. Afterwards, Rikishi attacked The Rock. I think he hit multiple bonsai drops to furthering the injury of the chest of The Rock. Besides that, I think it was a really good match. I think it was it was. I watched once or twice this match. For the preparation of this revisited review of Survivor Series 2000. This was, I think it's probably the second best match of the night. I kind of like it. I think The Rock's selling the chest really well. I think Jonathan Coachman, reveal afterwards, the segment saying The Rock is puking blood. But I wish he bled on this show to sell more of that chest, because he looked like in kayfabe The Rock suffered probably a broken rib or a punctured lung. So if Rikishi won this match on this show, I don't think it really do any favors. It's funny, here's a fun fact. Rock and Rikishi fought before. This was years before this. This was in 1997. Because at the time, Rock, and this was at WrestleMania 13. The Rock was Rocky Maivia, Rikishi, Fatu. He was the Sultan, and that was not that good because the Sultan was a shit gimmick. And then the Rock, his gimmick. The rest is history. He ended up becoming the most crossover guy in wrestling. In the company. So. And the most popular wrestler, and the most crossover guy in the company. So anyway, they didn't really do anything, because they ended up fighting in the 6-man Hell in a Cell match, and then after that, Rikishi never got one sniff in the main event, or even in the world title picture ever again in his career. So I don't think it did anything. It's just basically be the one. He's ended up they try like feuding with Austin, feuding with The Rock. It didn't really do to elevate his stock. It didn't do. He ended up floundering. He ended up getting inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, and he ended up signing his sons Jimmy and Jay into the company. It's funny, early this year his son Jay went on to win the World Championship. At WrestleMania 41 night 2. But anyway, so I don't want to get more in details of it. It's just what it is, man. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, I'm going to keep it brief. This is for the Women's Championship. Ivory, who's representing Rita Sansa, defending the belt against Lita. This match not good. I think it's due to Lita bled. She bled in the face. I think it was the eyebrow and the cheek area. I'm guessing Ivory did some stiff punches onto Lita, and Lita, bled buckets, man. It's just I'm not really. This is not a good match. I think Lita hit a Hurricane, hit Ivory with the Hurricane Rana, but the Hurricane Rana wasn't that it wasn't that good. It wasn't botchy. It was just basically just not. It looked, something's off. That's what I'm trying to say. Something's off. And by the way, Ivory won the title on SmackDown on the Halloween episode of SmackDown. I checked it on Wikipedia, but anyway, so I think you got the interference by, I think it was Steven Richards or Val Venus. I think it was Steven Richards. Because Lita was going for the Hurricane Run off the top rope. Ivory used her knees up in the last minute to pin her and retain the Women's Championship. Makes sense. She just won the title on SmackDown, in October. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, we got Kurt Angle, his first pay-per-view title defense as the World Wrestling Federation champion, defending the belt against The Undertaker. Both guys, this is a Survivor Series anniversary match for both guys. For Angle, 1-year anniversary, Undertaker 10. So I would get that. So Kurt Angle, like I said, debuted at the previous year's Survivor Series in 1999. Then he went on to have one of his best rookie years for the company. He went on to win the Intercontinental Championship. Then he became European champion. He became the third and final Euro-Continental champion in the company's history. Then in June he became the King of the Ring winner. And then in October he became the World Wrestling Federation champion. He was in his first title defense on pay-per-view against The Rock and Triple H. It's just showcase of Kurt Angle in the main event slot. Can he hang? Sink or swim? But he passed with ease despite he got himself concussion in that match. Go and check out my revisited review and my original review of SummerSlam 2000 for more information. So anyway, so Triple H, The Undertaker won a fatal 4-way number 1 contenders match to get a shot against Kurt Angle on this show. I mentioned it in my original review of Survivor Series 2000. I'm going to say it right now. The funny part, I think Tim White, the referee, is about to raise the Undertaker's arm in victory. The Undertaker had none of it, and he kind of stared Tim White down, and Tim White legged it. Man, it's kind of funny why they put it in the video package. So, like I said, anniversary like Survivor Series for both Angle and the Undertaker. For the Undertaker, this is the 10th anniversary since his debut with the company. I don't know why did they. I think they bring up Dead Man. Was it Dead Man Incorporated? I think they mentioned that on this show. I think they start doing the whole the decade of destruction, because he's been there for a decade, the Undertaker. So, before that, I forgot to mention this. I'm gonna say it right now. Before, there's some segments on the show for Kurt Angle. He's looking for help to help him retain the title on this show. He asked for he asked for Edge and Christian. I'll get to more of that shortly. He asked for Trish Stratus. Trish asked. He kind of he asked for Kurt he kind of offered Kurt with some assistance. Kurt is just being dumb. He just said said. Tell Taz and Albert, I got this match. You do it. You do this on his own, and then you got the first segment with Kurt Angle, Hangover with Edge and Christian. Edge and Christian. Basically, he said we can't help you because they got their Survivor Series match, and Christian's coming down with something, and then I think Angle says, after we won this match, we'll go for non-alcoholic Molson's. So anyway, so before that, Kurt Angle's cut a promo. He kind of bashed the people in Tampa, says representing the state of Florida. He brings up his moments, for his moments. I think he brings up his undefeated streak and win the European title, something like that, But he got cut out by the Undertaker. Undertaker is wearing the crocodile alligator pants or trousers, we call it in the UK. Very cool, because I'm guessing there's crocodiles in Florida, and it's kind of cool. You're paying homage to the state of Florida. The match itself was good, not the best. I think it's the third best match of the night, But I think they had better matches after. They had the match at Unforgiven. Not Unforgiven. I think they had the match at they had the match at Fully Loaded that year, and they had better matches years after this. It's not their best one, but it was still good. Undertaker hit the current old school. Kurt was working on the leg of the Undertaker. This is before he ended up using the ankle lock. I think he locked the Undertaker with the figure 4 leg lock. In the ring and on the ring post, he had Edge and Christian, interfering, trying to interfere. Taker beating down, Taker's take out both Edge and Christian. Before that, Taker locked in the Fujiwara armbar to Angle, and Kurt's tapping out. The referee did not see that. I think the referee was Earl Hebner. I think I might be wrong, but anyway, so trying to keep it short and simple. In the end, Kurt was hiding underneath the ring apron, and then I think he managed to get out of there. I think Taker pulled him out, hit him with the last ride. Earl Hebner, the referee, he's about to do the 3 count. He kind of stopped at 2, and they realized that's not Kurt Angle, but instead Undertaker got pissed off. Suddenly, Angle rolled up the Undertaker for the win, and afterwards he's kind of liked it, leave the building, because I think Undertaker's about to chase him out of the building. So, and by the way, they did twin magic on this match on the show. By the way, the Kurt Angle imposter is Kurt Angle's real life brother, Eric Angle. I think he was in the company. I think it was briefly in developmental territory, and then I think he made one more appearance. Then he ended up Yeah, he did appear in one more. He appeared on that. I think it was on a SmackDown years later. The build up between Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, that match at WrestleMania 19. You know, like I think it was a championship match. You know, you had Kurt beating Brock for the championship. You know, did the switcheroo. You know, and then that was cool. That was really cool. You know, people going about the Bellas did that first, but it's actually, you know, it's kind of a good spot. You know, and I think it was the right way. I think it was the right call, man. I think Angle's just like he just won the title at No Mercy. I think it was the right call to retain. He went on hold the belt until, you know, losing to The Rock at No Way Out in February of 2001. So yeah, it was a good match. Not the best work, but I think they had better matches years after this. So so moving on to the second and final Survivor Series match of the night. We got the Dudleys and the Hardys taking on Edge and Christian and Right to Censor. The two members representing Right to Censor, we got Bull Buchanan and the Goodfather, aka formerly known as the Godfather. So this is still a continuation of the rivalry between the Hardys and Edge and Christian, and also the Dudleys, because it's funny, they had a good 2000 for them. You know, they had the awesome triangle ladder match at WrestleMania 16, and really that awesome TLC match at SummerSlam, and knowing that they're going to have that this TLC 2 at WrestleMania the following year. So anyway, this match is really good. I think this is way better than the previous Survivor Series match on the show. You know, China, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn and K-Quick taking on the members of the Radicals. I think it was just basically, the booking was a bit off. You know, that was about 12 minutes long, but this is 10 minutes long. It was really fast paced, a lot of action-packed moments in this match. So Edge eliminate Matt Hardy with the Edge-O-Matic. Then Christian eliminate Devon with the Unprettier, better known as the Kill Switch. You know, that's currently the finisher of Chelsea Green, the current Women's United States Champion. And then Bubba Ray, eliminate Edge. You know, eliminate Edge. He eliminated Bull Buchanan first. You know, Edge accidentally hit the spear. He's about to spear Bubba Ray, but instead accidentally spear Bull Buchanan with the spear. And then I think Bubba Ray hit the Bubba Bomb onto Edge for that elimination. So it's 2-2. Bubba Ray and Jeff Hardy, Christian and the Goodfather, and then I think the Goodfather, I'm guessing, hit. I think it was the Hoe Train. Yeah, I think it was the Hoe Train to eliminate Bubba Ray. You know, no, it's the Death Valley Driver. My bad. It was the Death Valley Driver to eliminate. Is it the? No. Yeah, the Death. Yeah. Looking on Wikipedia right now. Yeah, Godfather stopped the domination of the opposition team. He eliminated Bubba Ray by performing the Death Valley Driver. I was right. I thought it was the Hoe Train, but it's actually the Death Valley Driver. So eliminated him. And then Jeff Hardy, I think, eliminated Christian with the Swanton Bomb. In the end, you know, Jeff Hardy is the sole survivor. You know, I think he countered the No Train attempt by the Goodfather. And then you got like Val Venus accidentally hit the Goodfather. I think it was a clothesline from the ring apron. So Jeff Hardy pins the Goodfather. I think. For the win. Is it Twist of Fate? No, that was the afterwards. So anyway, yeah, Val Venus accidentally attacked the Goodfather, so Jeff Hardy pins the Goodfather for the win. And afterwards, members of Right to Censor beat down Jeff Hardy, and then out comes, you know, Matt Hart, his brother Matt, and the Dudleys came to the rescue. I think Matt hit the Twist of Fate. I think it was on the Goodfather himself, and then we got the table. And then we got the table spots. You got the traditional Devon get the tables. You know, Matt did like I think that, yeah, the funny part, they did the what's up drop onto Falfinas, and then I think Matt put Falfinas onto one table with the leg drop off the top rope, and then Devon and Bubba Ray did the top rope powerbomb onto Steven Richards to end this. So yeah, it was a fun match. Not an all-time classic, but it was a fun match. I really enjoyed this. So moving on to the main event. So the main event, yeah, this is a no disqualification match. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H. So yeah, Austin came back, you know, after missing nearly a whole year off. He missed a few months due to the neck injury, but like I said, he got run over at Survivor Series in 1999. He was preparing for that triple threat match between him, The Rock, and Triple H. So Big Show stepped up to replace Austin. So, and then, you know, like, you know, he fought against Rikishi at No Mercy. I felt that was ending in a non-contest. Austin got arrested. So I think it was a few weeks later on Raw, you know, you had I think it was a handicap match. I think it was Rikishi and Angle taking on Austin, and then they beat down Austin, and Triple H, you know, came to the rescue, and Psych turned heel on Austin and beat him up, him with a sledgehammer, beat the crap out of him. He was wearing like a black glove. I'm guessing that's referencing the OJ Simpson case, I think, and just beat the bejesus out of him, and he's revealed to be the true mastermind of this Angle. Not referring to Kurt Angle, but the storyline who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I don't want to get into that. So yeah, like WCW did the similar storyline. I think it was the previous year, you know, who trying to run over Kevin Nash with the Hummer, but that was no payoff, and this is no payoff as well. You thought they had a whole year to find out who is the one who trying to take out the Texas rattlesnake, but instead you thought it was The Rock. You thought, like, I think like there were plans to have Triple H be the sole survivor. Not sole survivor, but be the sole culprit, but instead it was too predictable. They trying to do it with Rikishi, but that's not like panned out, you know. I think there should have been. It makes no sense. I said it in my original review, but I'm gonna say it right now. I think why just have Triple H be the one who run over Stone Cold Steve Austin? It makes no sense, you know. I think he need more of that heat, because I think like, yeah, I think they briefly turn him babyface. That would be a bad decision, because I think Triple H as the babyface makes no sense, because he's been a heel for like a year and a half since he turned heel at WrestleMania 15. You know, he went on to have assert his place in the main event as the main event player, and all of a sudden they're trying to do this babyface turn. That will never fly. But I think they squandered that. You know, I don't want to get in more details of it. You know, I think a lot of people talk about this. Go and watch it, but it's just like dumb. And also, by the way, you know, Mick Foley announced this is a no DQ match, and then earlier in the show, he informed Triple H that, you know, the members of the Radicals are banned from ringside. They're banned from interfering, and Triple H just, instead of getting pissed off, because you can tell like he's in this kind of mini feud with Mick Foley, because he's the commissioner, even though they had that rivalry in the start of the year 2000 at the Rumble, at Hell in a Cell match at No Way Out, and also the four-way match at WrestleMania 16. So Triple H is just kind, he's cool, but the match is good. I say match of the night, but it was a bit boring, to be honest. I think it was the weaker out of their rivalry between 1999 to 2001. I think it was, I checked the time, it was 25 minutes. The show was 2 hours, I think it was 2 hours 41 minutes. Nearly like, yeah, I'd say like nearly like, almost nearly 3 hours. But anyway, you see, like, the whole bulk of the match, you had, like, Austin just basically beating the bejesus out of Triple H, you know. I think he blooded him up with the TV monitor, but it was no, I feel like Austin got mostly the offense on Triple H, you know, because yeah, fans want to see Austin getting his payback onto Triple H. But seeing like just beating him up I was completely tuned out, man. I don't say it was a bad match, but I wish they cut this match in. I wish they just cut some minutes off this match, make it flow better. It was mostly a brawl, the brawl in the ring, outside the ring, in the backstage arena. Try to keep it short and simple. Anyway, you had the Radicals trying to beat down Austin. You had Triple H basically leaving the arena. I think he's into a car. I think Austin trying to chase Benoit. And Triple H's plan is once again trying to run down Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin's nowhere in sight, and then Austin grabbed he was driving a forklift, drive the forklift, picked the car when Triple H inside it. Triple H played Austin, do not do this. He played, and I think Austin says, "Kiss my ass, you stupid son of a bitch." And then suddenly he kind of dumped the car off the car is falling off the claw of the forklift. He kind of dumps the car, and Triple H screamed, "Holy shit!" They didn't bleep it out. I think it's funny. Like years ago, I watched a clip of that spot. They kind of bleep when Triple H says "Holy shit." But this time, this is the uncut one. He said "Holy shit," and JR is selling it like Triple H is killed on pay-per-view. Austin leaves the forklift, leave the arena, and that was the end of the match and the show. Wow, but it's like not the best match. You could say match of the night by default, but yeah, good spot. That was one of the reasons this show is a bit memorable for this spot. Austin driving the forklift and dropping the car when Triple H inside. But yeah, so I wish, to me personally, I think they did a bit of a disservice, after this. Triple H, I think he appeared a few weeks later unharmed, because they ended up fighting in that 6-man Hell in the Cell match. And then Austin cost Triple H the championship at the Royal Rumble the following year, the start of the following year. And then Triple H attacked Austin in his entrance in the Royal Rumble match. Austin went on to win that year's Rumble match. Yeah, it's leading up to the 3 Stages of Hell match at No Way Out in 2001. But anyway, going back to this, I think they did a disservice of this. I wish they showed some continuity and really film this segment of Triple H in the hospital bed, with a black eye, put some makeup on his face, like a black eye, like holding like cast on his legs and arms, to make sure he's survived. So when they do this, I think when it's like I said, they did a disservice of it. I wish they did this. Make sure Triple H managed to survive with injuries like the cast and on his arms and legs. Maybe a neck brace on his neck. Lying in the hospital bed and show him get emotionally break down. Like Austin basically just not just end his career but end his life. But it's just like, I'm guessing they didn't do that to try and make the fans guessing. Trying to make the fans guess, like I said. So it's just what it is, man. I don't think Austin got a vital win over Triple H, because, like I said, they fought in the 6-man Hell in the Cell match, and then they kind of interact in the Royal Rumble, and then, like I said, they had the 3 Stages of Hell match in No Way Out 2001. Yeah, they didn't really have the blow off because, like I said, but they end up teaming up, the 2-man power trip when Austin turned heel after WrestleMania 17, and then Triple H got hurt. I think the last time they have the interact in the ring was in the 2002 Royal Rumble match. So before we get to this overall rating of this show, from now on, I'm no longer using the good, the okay, and the bad format. I've been using it since I started doing these classic show reviews. From now on, I'm going to use the pros and cons. You know, it's a bit of an experiment. You know, if it's not really panning out, I might go back to that good, bad, and the okay format. You know, I'm going to use the new format in my current wrestling reviews and the classic shows. So anyway, my overall rating of my re-review of Survivor Series 2000. 4 years ago in 2021, I give Survivor Series 2000 a 6 out of 10. Fast forward 4 years later in 2025, I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's just up by a little bit, you know. I don't really give it a 7 out of 10. I'd probably give it I give it a 6.5 out of 10. You know, I'm gonna say better than Survivor Series 99, but that's not saying too much. You know, let's talk about the pros. The pros, I thought Raw Rikishi match, that was good. I really like it. You know, I like Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker for the WWF Championship. The second Survivor Series match, between Dudley's Hardys versus Edge and Christian and Right to Censor. The main event, I think it's still good, but it is a bit boring, but still good. I like the ending with the whole, Austin driving the forklift and drop Triple H, the car with Triple H inside of the car. That was good. That was one of the memorable moments of the show. The Jericho Kane match, I'm gonna have to put. I'm gonna leave it out. I don't put it in the pro or con. It did do nothing for me. It was an okay, good. It was a good match, but I think that match at Armageddon the following month was a bit better. But let's get to the cons. Did the pros? Let's go with the cons about the show. The other Survivor Series match, China, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, K-Quick versus the Radicals. Not saying a bad match. It was just the booking was a bit odd. It was just my kind of average. That's just me. Everyone has their tolerant opinions. Ivory versus Lita for the women's title, and also Regal versus Hardcore Holly for the European title. They're just not that good. It was just an average Survivor Series show. It's basically a mid-card Survivor Series show, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So, what's your thoughts on Survivor Series 2000 and this video? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash the like button, click the like, click the bell. Watch my original review of Survivor Series 2000 in the description. And subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. Be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more. And this is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later.